Hi, my name is Glenn Thompson, and I'm here at the SKB workshop in Du Bois, Wyoming. And I have produced a two-part video that is intended to help artists in the preparation of their artwork. The first part of this video shows you how to resize a component of a photo in such a way that when you have that photo printed, that component will come out exactly the size you want it. I'll take the guesswork out of that process. The second part of the video shows you how to transfer an element from one photo into a second photo or host photo. And it's this process that you would need to do in order to change the composition of that host photo. Okay, well, let's get started. Okay, we're going to begin with the resizing part of the video. I'm going to start from the very beginning for those who are not very familiar with Photoshop. First thing we will have to do, we will have to find Open Photoshop. I have several on my laptop here, and we're going to use the cloud version 2018. So Photoshop is now opening. Okay, Photoshop is open, and now we have to import a couple of pictures. And the way we do that is we go up to the word here in the upper left corner where it says File, and then we go down to where it says Open. The Open, when that's clicked, it gives us a drop-down file, and I have to use this to find where in my computer I look for these pictures. And I'm going to go to Data Part D, and then I'm going to go to San Marcos Bats, double-click, and then I'm going to go to Edited, and then I'm going to go to New Folder, and then over here I think I'm going to pick this photo right here, and I click Open, and then it opens. Now, the only thing that I want to do with this photo is make it enough smaller so that when I put this on top of my new canvas, it's not going to totally cover the new canvas and actually make it hard to find, because this photo actually, as it sits here, is much larger than the canvas that you would typically use, such as an 8 by 10. This is probably, well, this is 14 by 10. So it would cover more than the canvas. So we've got to reduce it to make it easy to install. So all I think I'm going to do to make this the simplest possible, I'm going to click on the cropping tool, and we will just crop away the excess. The cropping tool is up here in this left corner. It looks like sort of a frame, picture frame. Okay, so when I clicked on that, we got these little tabs. It shows up around the perimeter of the image, and that means we're ready to go. But before we do that, I want to point out one thing. Up here in this little box are the parameters for cropping. You're going to see an awful lot of little numbers here, which all are different aspect ratios of length to width, and we don't really care about that. I just want to be able to pick my own size, and so I'm going to go up here where it says W times H times resolution, which is width times height times resolution. That means we can move them all. Using that, we can use them all independently. So that's what I've got up here right now. So all I have to do is come to one of these little parts, click on it, and when these lines show up crisscrossing the image, that means it's ready to work. So I'm just going to move this line sideways, and because these move independently, I can make this the best fit to that, get rid of the excess image around that part of the image, excess photo around the bad image, and then I just click this to accept that crop. Okay, so now that image is ready to be transferred onto a new canvas, and the new canvas is what is going to be, we're going to select the size of canvas that is going to be exactly the same as the paper we print on. So let's go back up here to File, and in this case we just use the very first word. It says New. We click on that, and then opens another box where we can decide what size canvas we want. And these here are some of the previous ones that I've used. And if you go over to this side, you can see here is width, and down here is height, and this is where you enter your dimensions of canvas that you want. and it already has 10 by 8 or 8 by 10, pretty much the same deal. And we can click create, and there's our new canvas, 8 by 10. Now, in order to use this canvas, we have to make it exactly 8 inches by the ruler by 10 inches by the ruler. And the best way to do that is to compare this scale that is along the top of the screen. We have to make those numbers make those inches match the inches on a ruler. And at the moment, 1 inch on the screen is equal to about 3/4 of an inch on the ruler, so it's too small. So we have to go down here to this corner where you can see there's a number percentage, and that's percentage of max. So we're going to change that because it's too small. I'm going to change it to 50. And I hit enter, and that jumps up in size. And so now I'm going to see how big did it get. It looks like it's probably too big. It is. It's now 1 inch on the screen is equal to about 1.25 inches on the ruler, so it's too big. I'm going to drop this back down to 40. See what that looks like. So now I've made that down to 40. Put my ruler back up there, and now it's just a little bit, the screen scale is just a little bit smaller than the ruler scale by about 1/16 of an inch. So I'm going to run this back up a little bit more. I'm going to bring it up to 43 and see how that looks. Hit enter, and it jumps up. And now I match that up, and it comes pretty close. And in fact, if I put the ruler on the screen here, you can see that that is just about 10 inches wide as it's supposed to be. So that's canvas is now the actual size, so that it will be that of the printable paper that we can get. If we were to send this to Costco or to Walmart or someplace to be printed in their Photoshop, you would have to select from the standard sizes, which begin at 4 by 6, 5 by 5, 5 by 7, 8 by 10, 8 by 12, 11 by 14, and 16 by 20, and then 20 by 30. So you have to pick a canvas that matches one of those standard sizes if you're going to use the any normal photo lab. Okay, so now we have the canvas the right size. We can bring our bat down onto it for resizing of the bat. So what we do is we go up here to where the bat image is, and we click down and hold that click, and we just drag this thing down onto the new canvas. I'm going to pull it down here, then you let up the clicker, and it's here. And you can see, I'll bring this up, you can see we've just put this bat down here on this screen. But in order to actually put it on the canvas, we have to come over here to the right, where you can see in the layer palette, and we click on that, and we hold it, and we just drag it over here onto the canvas, and then we release it, and there it is. Okay, I will pull this down here to the middle where we can see the whole thing in just a minute, but first I'm going to put away this image that we dragged down there. I'm going to push it back up. So now it's back up there, but now I've got to reopen our canvas, and I'm going to pull this image that we just now put on. I'm going to pull it down to the middle, and to do that I'm going to press on the keyboard V, which is the move tool. You can also find that over here. It's this little arrow. So with the move tool, I'm going to click and pull this thing down onto my canvas, and you can see it just fits. So now it's not bigger than the canvas. If it was much bigger than the canvas, you'd have a tough time figuring out where to put it. Okay, so now let's say we want this bat to be a total of 5 inches across from wingtip to wingtip. So what we're going to have to do is shrink it. It's because it's right now it looks like it's like 7 inches across. So we're going to use the transform tool, and we do that by first making sure that this new layer is highlighted over here on the right in the layers palette, and then once that's highlighted, if we press Control T, and that should put these little markers on all the frames, the layered image right here. Now, in order to make this thing shrink, we have to, let's look down here, and I'm gonna move this whole thing up just a little bit so that we can see what I'm doing better. And I push the space bar and then click, and then I push the whole thing up. So now you can see the corner of the canvas. Alright, now we're going to use the transform tool, and oops, didn't mean to do that. Come over here, put it on the image, and when you have the little diagonal arrow there, that means we can change the shape of it, change the size of it. But it's very important that we do push the shift key and then the click key, and then we can push it and it will all change together. If we don't push the shift key and use this diagonal arrow, we'll be just changing the shape of it. We'll make it either wider or taller, that sort of thing. And this way it changes without changing the dimensions, the ratio of the dimensions. Okay, take my finger off, pull this back down a little bit. I'm going to set this so that this left wingtip is going to be right underneath the 1, and then I'm going to pull the image down so the right wingtip is right underneath the 6. So we'll make it 5 inches wide. I'm going to start by moving this down so I can see it. Okay, so we got the left wingtip about underneath. No, it's not quite. I got to move a little further this way. Left wingtip is right now exactly under the 1, and the right wingtip is too small to make this 5 inches. So we're gonna have to make this bigger again. So come down here with it, get the diagonal arrow on the corner, press the shift, click, and drag this out a little more till I can see that wingtip being just about under the 6. And we got the left wingtip still under the 1. So I think that's good enough. Now when I let my fingers off this, I left my thumb off the clicker, and then our last thing to release is the shift. That way we don't change the shape of it accidentally. Okay, so now that bat is 5 inches wide, which is what we're hoping to do. I'm going to move it now more to the middle by using the move tool. So now we've got it more or less in the middle of the paper. Okay, so that is now ready to send to the photo lab or wherever you're going to print it. If you select an 8x10 paper, this thing is going to come out exactly the size you see it on the screen. And it will be exactly 5 inches wide. The bat image will be. So the next step and last step is we have to save it, and that can be done either by File, Save As. I forgot one thing. This is something that's so easy to do. I got this little drop-down menu that says, do you want to apply the transform before saving? That is because I simply forgot to put on this, to click the accept arrow. So I'm going to hit apply. Okay, now we're going to the do the saving screen. So here we have this drop down. It says where it's going to save: computer, data D, San Marcos Bats, edited, new folder. So this is going to go right back into the place where I got that image from. Untitled. I think we should title it. I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to backspace through that word untitled, and I think we should change this to bat space 8 by 10, so you know the size of that image. And I'm going to leave it as a Photoshop PSD, Photoshop document, and I'm going to do that so that if we want to use that, these layers that are over here on the right, if we want to use it again with layers, because it'll save it as layers if it's a Photoshop document. So I'm going to click Save, and click OK. And now that is saved as a Photoshop document. But if you want to send this to a printer, you have to turn this into a JPEG. So I'm going to do the same thing again. File, Save As, and then I'm going to come out down here to this Photoshop bar. I'm going to click on the drop down menu. I'm going to bring this down to JPEG, and I'm going to click that. So now it'll save it as a JPEG, which is something that can be printed. So I'm going to click Save, and now I have the option of selecting what size, what quality. I'm going to click 12, which is maximum. Okay, so now it's done, and we have saved this thing. We can go back and, well, this will be saved in exactly the same place we started from. Okay, now for the second part of the video, we're going to show you how to transfer images from one photo into another photo in order to change the composition or to enhance the composition. So the first thing we're going to do, we have Photoshop open already, so we're going to go to File, Open, and we're going to select several more pictures to see if we can't combine them. Start with this one, and we'll go to this last one here. Shift, click, that includes all of them. And now we'll click Open down here, and they all show up. Alright, the first thing we have to do is we have to select them. Now, there's a lot of ways of doing this, and I'm going to do it the fastest one because we can use this. We take advantage of this black background. So we'll start with something called the lasso tool. That's up here. And if we right click on it, you see it's actually composed of 3 lasso tools. And we're going to just use this one initially because it's really fast and it gets a very general selection. So I'm going to start by selecting all this bat and his reflection in a very general way. So we have it there. And then I'm going to use something called the Magic Wand tool, which is right here, Magic Wand tool, and you can get it by clicking W. And this particular group has both the Magic Wand tool, and if we right click, we can see it's Magic Wand and Quick Selection tool. So let's use the Magic Wand tool, and I'm going to put it in the negative mode so that it's going to subtract from this existing selection. So you can see it there, it's inside the selection and has a minus sign on it. So if I click on that, what it's going to do is remove all the black. Boom. There, we've got that selection done. I don't think we're going to use this guy, but let's make this guy, this first selection, let's make it into a layer. That can be done by, mostly just by clicking Control J on the keyboard. Now if you look over here at the layers palette, we just now created this layer. So we're going to keep that thing ready, and we're going to go to the next image and see what that is. Okay, this is the image I think we should use as the host image because it's got the biggest bat in the middle. So let's go to the next image, and it has quite a few guys in it. We have to do them one at a time, otherwise we'll make just one layer that we can't move around. So click my lasso tool. I'm going to go capture this guy, and then I go to the W and I eliminate the black, and then I make that guy into a layer by Control J. And I think we ought to capture this other guy, so back to lasso tool, go around everything, Go back to the magic wand tool. Oops, I got a warning sign, no pixels selected. Very good lesson. I'm glad I did this mistake. Okay, the problem is, if you look over here, the layer that's highlighted is the one, this bat over here. This guy's not in that area, so I didn't select any pixels when I surrounded him. I have to make sure I've selected the background before I can do a selection. Okay, back to L for this. And then the W for the wand. Subtract off everything there. Now, because he's in the right place, we've got the background selected. Control J makes a layer out of it. Now we can go to this layer, this photo here, and we'll do the same thing. We'll do the L for the lariat, go around it, make a selection, a big selection, hit the W for the magic wand. He's now been selected. Control J. He's become a layer that can be removed. And then last but not least, these guys here. Go to the lariat tool again. I'm going to collect this whole thing. And then I'm going to hit the W. So I subtract off all the black. Then I'm going to hit Control J to make him into a layer. Now I got to go back and click my background again, and I get my lariat out and go around him, and then go to the magic wand tool, boom, and that's been selected. We're already on the background, so Control J turns that guy into a layer. Alright, now let's find our principal, our host photo. Which one was it? It was this guy here. And let's see if we can bring some of these others down and more populate this same image. So I start with this guy. I don't even know which one it is. I'm going to put this history away. Bring him down. Okay. So there's only one in here. We're going to bring him over into here. Then I'm going to move this guy back out of the way and bring back my main photo. Okay, and now I've got this guy in here. I think I'm going to have to make him smaller. I'm going to start with a Control T, and I think I can shrink him down by Shift, click, push diagonal, and I think I'll put him, now it's just a click with the move tool. I think I just kind of put him up here like this. It's a good place for it. And then I'm going to accept it. And then I think we'll look and see what this guy is. There's a threesome. Okay. Let me bring back my host. Now I'll pull this threesome down. And I'll pull it down a little lower. So now I'm going to pull whatever this layer is over into here. Okay. And then I'm going to pull, oh no, now we're back on the host picture. Okay, let me click on this guy again. So we're back to the original. I'm going to pull this other bat over here. Okay, and we put this guy back where he was. Bring back my good picture. Now, looks like there are a lot of bats flying the same direction here, so let's take a look at which bat is which. This little eyeball here turns on the... Okay, so I know that pertains to him. I think I could make this guy smaller. So I'm going to do the Control T on him, and then I'm going to do the Shift click. Oops, didn't do that right. I got to get the diagonal here. Shift click, and then I make him smaller. Now that that's done, I'll bring him back onto the image, and I think he looks pretty good up there. But I think there's one thing I'd like to do. I'd like to turn him around because I got so many flying in one direction. I'm going to accept that as it is. And then I'm going to go up here to Edit. Click on Edit. I come down to Transform. Come across to this. And then I go down to Flip Horizontal. Right there. Click on that. So now he's going the other way, and I like it better. Let's see, and now we have this guy here to deal with. This is the other layer that we put in here. Maybe we should do a Control T on him and Shift click. Oops, I got diagonal first. Shift click. Make him a little smaller. And I can put him way back here. Maybe over here. Maybe, yeah, way in the back. He's pretty small now. We'll put him over there. And now we'll accept that. Okay. Now let's just add one last bat into the picture. That's this guy here. Let's pull him on down. And now we'll drag him into the host picture. Put this guy back. Get the big picture back. And he looks pretty good right there. I think we have enough in there. So you can see from all that exercise that it's possible to compose your own photos. If you want to spend a lot more time on the selections, that's up to you. But if it's going to be painted by hand, it's probably not necessary. If you just get the sizes and the colors right, you're probably going to be just fine. And so that completes that little video.